James Reston explains that every generation rewrites history based on its own experiences. To understand how Japan viewed its history, he compares it to America's treatment of the Vietnam War. While the extent is not the same, the idea behind the statement is. Like America downplaying the atrocities committed in Vietnam, Japan continued to do the same to help justify and defend its national pride. The seeds of victimhood were sown back in the 1950s with a cultural reaction to Japanese historians viewing Japan as the villain in the historical narrative. During the Vietnam War, Japan saw a glut of historical articles justifying Japan's war to liberate Asia. Biographies, memoirs, and narratives on military leaderships ferment these ideas. The individual became the driving force of Japanese history, such as the deification of Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto. Instead of discussing the whys of World War II, Japanese historians focused on the hows, downplaying the atrocities as incidents necessary for part of the war. The other side of Japanese history was seeing Japan as the victim of Western aggression. While economically Japan embraced Western ideologies, Japan's relationship with the United States was always rocky. Much of this stems from the Japanese-American Joint Security Treaty, ANPA, where violent protests broke out across Japan. America had dropped 2 atomic bombs on Japan, and many Japanese historians considered this the ultimate form of American aggression against the Japanese people. Japan essentially had 2 factions. There were the more conservative wings, which did not praise America, but embraced them as a necessary protectorate and ally. And then there were the left wing, who vehemently opposed such alignments in the hopes of maintaining Japanese pacifism and neutrality, which powerfully manifested itself in their histories towards the end of World War II. These historians usually aped their histories on Patrick Blackett and Gar Alperovitz. Both historians were revisionists because they challenged the popular notion that America dropped the 2 atomic bombs to save American lives. Both Blackett and Alperovitz paint Japan in a light where it was unnecessary to drop the bombs as Japan was already defeated. Japanese historians lunged on this notion and took it to its radical extremes. Victim Japanese historians were usually left-wing. Their most predominant book is A History of the Pacific War in 1973. The book gathered many left-wing historians who claimed that Japan was the victim of World War II and of the atomic bombings. Sadio Asada explains these victims as believing that 500,000 civilians were utterly and meaninglessly sacrificed for America's cruel political purpose. Thus, victim historians were anti-American and popular among protest groups in the 1960s and the 1970s.